This is a strange story. I call the shadow. Now, I've never been, when I was a kid, I went to school, I went to church a little bit in Nelson, like I said in my earlier thing, where I was in a choir, and I went to 2 or 3 different churches, and I was always interested in, science and religion, biology, and things like that all my life, but I never really went to church after Nelson when I was like 5, 6 years old. I didn't all the time in Sycamoose. I never went to church or anything. And then when I was working on the cruise ships, it's a story about when I was down in the Caribbean. Now, the only other thing I ever heard about was something in Sycamoose that it was like a will-o'-the-wisp or something years ago, that something had rolled across they saw it come down from the lily patch. It sort of rolled across the channel. It was like a big ball of flaming gas or something. It rolled down through the swamp or something in Sycamoose. And but I never saw that. I just heard about it. But anyway, this is a different story. This thing, I'll just read what I wrote. To start off with, I've never seen anything paranormal, like UFOs, nothing of that nature in my whole life, except on this one occasion. I was working as an entertainer on a cruise ship, singing and playing piano in a nice lounge. I did this for about 6 years with Regency Cruises. I was in the Caribbean. It was inside the Bermuda Triangle, but I don't know if that has anything to do with anything. But I wasn't taking drugs, and I wasn't drinking heavy at the time. I think I was. I might have been drinking 1 beer, I think, but I was between my first and second sets of the night, and I did 4 sets every night. It was like I played from 5 to 6. I think it was about after 6, so I'd only played 1 set. So I think I was having a beer or something. I can't remember, but I wasn't drunk, that's for sure. I had a whole night ahead of me to play. It was around, just after 6. I was sitting in my cabin, which is about 5 floors down on the ship. There's no windows or anything. I was having my first beer, waiting to go upstairs for my second set. When I saw over my head, came from behind me, a black shadow came over my head, right over my head through the far wall of my room. And it was black. It had no discernible features. It looked like kind of like a human form with its arms stretched out or wings or something. It was like an ink black, like flat black. It was very weird looking. And it startled me so much, I jumped off the bed. Whoa, what was that? I wasn't hallucinating. I never hallucinate. Even in my days where I drank heavy, partying and stuff, I've never ever seen any kind of hallucinations, ever. Never. And so it wasn't that. It moved me so much, I went to the other room where the other band was staying at, and they were in there having a drink or something, and told them what happened. They didn't believe me. They said, "Oh, come on over, have a drink." "Sure you did." Yeah, just like people do when you see a flying saucer or a UFO, which I've never seen. So I wasn't hallucinating, I know that. And I was kind of upset with this whole thing. I thought, geez, what the hell? It reminded me of a black, like a ghost or something, whoosh, right through my room. It was like really weird looking. And it wasn't like I didn't fall asleep. I didn't close my eyes and imagine it, because I've never imagined anything like that. So I went up on my way upstairs to play my next set. I stopped at the doctor's office because I knew the doctor. He was a nice guy there. And I'd been on the ship for quite a while, and he used to work there. We used to sit around, have coffee and talk and stuff. Told him what I saw. I said, I saw this thing go, a black shadow go right through my room. And I described to him what it looked like. And he looked at me, he says, "Oh, Richard, I believe you." I said, "Yeah?" He said, yeah, come here, come with me. So he took me to the next room in his office, and there was a table there. There was a dead guy laying on the table with a cover over him, a body. And he lifted up the cover and said, oh, this guy just died about an hour ago. I just about fell over because I recognized the guy right away. He'd been coming to see me perform every night, and we'd sat the night before after and had a drink or something after the show at midnight and talked for a while, and he didn't say he wasn't feeling good or anything, but he was the guy that I knew. He'd been on the ship for a week or something like that. And the doctor said to me, yeah, I believe you. Something probably came to pick up his soul. And so the doctor said that to me, and I went, gee. So anyway, I went upstairs to perform my second set and was still kind of freaked out about this whole thing. I was telling the bartender about it, and this little guy that was his assistant that was working behind the bar got real excited and said, I saw the same thing. I said, well, I hadn't given him any details except that I said it saw a shadow. So I hadn't described what I saw, so I asked the kid what he saw, and the kid kind of described it the same way as I did. Now, but he was freaked out. The next day, the bartender told me not to talk about that shadow around the kid anymore because he was Catholic, and he was so scared that he was thinking of jumping off the ship or something. So after that, I studied as much as I could about black shadows and the shadow in the Bible that went there's a part in the Bible where God sends a shadow through the villages to kill all the firstborn baby in Egypt or something like that because the Egypts, they wouldn't let the Jews go back to their Holy Land, and he caused the bug plague and all that stuff. But anyway, ever since then I started to get interested in black shadows, ghosts, and I've always been interested in stuff like that. But there's a nurse that I know, she used to see, she's at the care home where Marcia is, my wife, and she used to see black shadows around some of the old people when they died, and actually seen souls lift out of the body. Lots of nurses have seen that. And golden ones around babies like auras when they died. And I've never had another experience like that, but I've seen actual, movies of things that do come out, the soul comes out of the body. But that was my story about the shadow that I saw. It was like so ink black and formless kind of, but it sort of looked like a long form with sort of outstretched arms or something, but it went just like right over my head through that wall. And that started me reading the Bible and studying even more stuff like that. So believe it or not,